Last couple of weeks, I sold a bunch of junk on Craigslist. That old Cub Cadet I had, and all the mower decks and plow blades and 3-point hitch and a bunch of old scaffolding and stuff like that. So I raised a lot of money doing that, and then I had a birthday and got several gift cards. So time to invest in some new tools. And the first one I bought was a dry cut saw. I've been wanting to get one of these for years, but never got around to it. So I picked one up from Northern Hydraulics. They had them on sale with free shipping, and I know nothing about this Ironton brand or anything, but it seemed to have some pretty good ratings, and the price was right and everything. So I ordered one, and I don't know what it was, about 2.5, 3 days later, UPS brought it. The box was a little bit banged up and stuff, but as you can see, it was packed in another box that was pretty good, and then it was also packed in a bunch of foam there, so it made the trip with no problems. It's basically just like a miter saw that you use on wood, but this you use for cutting metal. I don't think it'll cut real thick metal, but I'm about to find out. So there's what it looks like. It's got a carbide tooth blade on it. It's got like a negative hook angle, it looks like, and it's got a clamp on it for the metal, and actually it adjusts up to like 45-degree angle. So basically that's what the saw looks like, and I decided I was going to build a stand for it. I needed something to put it on, and seeing how the stock doesn't move, the saw has to rotate on the stand. So basically I'm just making a big turntable here, and I started out with an old lathe stand that I cut down, and basically these are parts that I'm just cutting to go on top of the stand. And this first one is just kind of like a base plate to put the saw on, and that's just a piece of 14 gauge diamond plate that I had left over laying around, decided to use. And as you can see, the plasma cutter makes a really quick job of anything like that, and the parts come out and they're real nice and clean, and cut nice, and a little bit of grinding around the edge, and they're ready to go. And then I needed another plate to mount on top of the stand that I had started with, just to kind of mount the legs together and to provide a pivot point for turning that top plate on. So I just had a piece of 12 gauge steel that I decided to cut that one out of. And it's another cut on the plasma table that takes about, that was real time, so it takes about a minute to make the cut or less, and it's something that would take you an hour to make by hand. So basically that was a quick job making the two pieces. And then I needed some supports to locate the saw on. So this is my first time using this saw. I had some 1/8 inch wall angle that I decided to cut. I think it's 2x2 by 1/8 inch wall, and as you can see, that's real time going through it, and it's amazing that it doesn't get any heat at all when you cut it. Unlike the bandsaw where it's red hot when it comes off, there's basically no heat, and it does give you a nice clean square cut that barely needs any deburring at all. It's really just a little tiny razor edge on it. And there's another one. I had to cut 4 of these parts, so they really impressed me how the saw cut with these first couple of cuts. So I got those locators cut, and they just one goes in each corner of the saw like that, so you can pick it out and take it with you, or just sit it in the stand. And there you can see I just kind of tack welded them in place around the saw, so it would be a nice tight fit, and it wouldn't slop around or anything. So I got that done, and the saw, you can see it just picks right up out of there, and they'll hold it nice and secure when it's in sitting in there. And as I said, this whole top has to turn. But in the meantime, I wanted to make a little spot to catch any small cut off so they wouldn't roll on the floor like they do on my bandsaw. So I just went over and I cut another piece of that 14 gauge diamond plate that I had, And I find I get a really good clean cut on diamond plate when I put it with the diamonds down and just cut the smooth side and let the the digital torch height control take care of the thickness. So that does give you a nice clean cut. So I got that piece cut, and then I got this old Harbor Freight tube roller that I bought years ago. It's made for rolling tubing and to circles and radiuses. But I find out that I use it on metal also for if it'll fit between the rollers, and it's like 3.5 to 4 inches wide maximum. The roller will do it. Now the diamond plate, you can hear it's just kind of like a little bit rough and bumpy trying to roll it because of all the diamonds in a different location, but it does do the job. You get about 3 inches on each end that doesn't have any radius on it because of the distance to the first roller, but I wanted that anyway, so it just took a couple seconds and I got my piece rolled to match the radius of the table there. So you can see it's pretty much the same, and I just have to bend those two corners there in to make it fit right. So over to my little Harbor Freight bender there. It's been a pretty good tool too. With a couple of modifications, it does get the job done pretty good. So I just want to bend in those two straight ends so that they'll just come in and meet those corner locators. So that it doesn't take too long, and this bender bends short pieces, 2-inch pieces of 14 gauge like this, like nothing. So if you try to bend 12 gauge, it starts to get tough, but that was easy to bend, and it's basically what it's going to look like. It's just a little thing there to catch any short pieces from rolling on the floor, because I always have that on my band, so they just roll off. So then, matter of just going back, and I'm just going to attach it with a couple of tack welds on there. I know, everything's going to have to be vacuumed out from all the metal chips that the saw makes and stuff, but I figure I can just just pick the saw out and vacuum everything out pretty easy whenever it's time to clean it up. And at least this little ring here will keep the little rounds and stuff from rolling on the floor. So a couple tack welds go on there, no problem. And when it's warm out in the summertime and you're trying to weld with t-shirts on and short shirts on, when you're just trying to take a shortcut and not put the jacket on, I got these welding gloves that actually have a very high cuff on them, you can see, and I really enjoy them because without them sometimes you can get a really nasty sunburn and burns just from welding like this with the short gloves. So a couple tack welds just to hold it in place, and I didn't want to do too much to make anything warp, so that's basically what the turntable is going to look like. And I did leave a little tab out there in the front where I was going to put a lock, but it turned out I really don't need that. So and here we are. This is a stand that I cut 3 feet out of it with a lathe stand that had a wooden top on it and stuff, and there's that top plate that I cut and mounted on, and I gave it a coat of wrinkle black paint. And there's that other turntable. I sandblasted that and just gave it a quick coat of a gray paint that I had laying around. So basically everything's ready to go together now, and that's how it fits together. I decided to put a little bit of UHMW tape between the two pieces just to keep the paint from sticking and rubbing off and stuff like that. So I've got this self-adhesive UHMW tape that's I think it's about 5 or 6 thousandths thick. Maybe it's about 7 with the adhesive on it. But I'm just going to put a strip of that on each end to just allow me to turn that top turntable without scraping the paint off, and cut down a little bit of the friction on it. So another piece going across the back side. And in the future, I'm going to be adding some roller supports and stuff to this table, and that's the reason why the saw has to turn, because in order to keep the metal going in the same direction, it's kind of like a miter saw. You have to turn the saw. So there it is, and I just put it together with a bolt down the middle, and I put a double lock nut down on the bottom so I could just tighten it up and lock it in place, and just get the right amount of pressure to turn. And it came out to be really nice. It's a real good sturdy stand. Didn't actually cost me anything, so I had everything laying around, and it rotates like I want it. And I just had to go back, and I need to cut a piece of pipe, and I thought I'd just try one more cut while I was doing the video. And so there's a piece of the real heavy wall galvanized pipe that I had to shorten down a little bit, and you can pretty much see that the saw just goes right through it like butter. So much faster than using a bandsaw, and there's no blade wander, and everything's cool when you take it off. It just seems like a really good saw to have around the shop. It's not an industrial model or anything, but I've got some projects coming up, and I'm sure I'll get some good use out of it. So there it is. Everything's still cold as can be when coming off there, which is pretty amazing to me. And did a real nice clean cut. So I can see where this is going to be a real handy tool to have around. Yeah, you can see there that's about 2.5 inch OD, and it's probably about 3/16 wall. So I just thought I'd do this video to just to show you the new saw that I got, and just show you how you can cut metal without creating heat. And I'll be using it in a lot of my projects in the future. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.